Welcome back, guys. So let's talk about the last five movies I've seen in the theater, and this will be the last month's worth, I think, or maybe a little over a month that I've seen. Mostly horror. One is not a horror movie. The movies I'm going to talk about right now, I'm going to say right away. I'm going to talk about Quiet Place Day One, and then I'm going to talk about MaXXXine, then Longlegs, then Deadpool and Wolverine, and then Twisters. And Twisters is not even really horror either. It's like a fun thriller. But I just wanted to put that in there because those are the movies I've been seeing recently. Um, so to start out, let's talk about A Quiet Place Day One, which stars Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn. Now, this one I was interested in because I really enjoyed the first two Quiet Places. I thought they were really fun, really suspenseful. A really cool experiment that went right for Platinum Dunes. They put out a movie that was genuinely a cool new IP because they're mostly known for doing like horror remakes for the most part, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, blah blah. Um, or well, actually, I don't know if they did the Nightmare on Elm Street, but I know they did Texas Chainsaw Massacre for sure, and Friday the 13th. But like I said, the franchise as a whole, I really dig the first two Quiet Places. They're really great. They have a lot of heart to them and a lot of thrills in a way where it genuinely became a good product. It was very interesting and entertaining, and I really am excited to see where they're going to go with the third one. But as of now, we have a prequel, A Quiet Place Day One, which is on the day that it happens in New York City, the day that the aliens come down. And I wasn't skeptical going into this because I was really honestly pretty pumped for it because I like the first two a lot, and the actors involved, Lupita Nyong'o is always great, and Joseph Quinn is the guy who is in Stranger Things. The last season he was Eddie, season 4, and I thought he was good in that. And I don't know if I've seen anything else that he has done, but of course Lupita Nyong'o, like 12 Years a Slave. Great actress. And there's others I could name too, but I can't remember at the moment. But she is really awesome, and I love her in these movies, or in movies. I love her as an actress, and I think that she was a good pick for a leading person in this movie. Um, Now, since it's been out a little while, I'm not going to spoil it, but I might give a little more details into the plot that the trailer didn't give. So be prepared. But people have probably seen it since it's been like a month ago since it came out. But it is about a cancer patient, Lupita Nyong'o's character, and Joseph Quinn's character, who is on a trip there, and they both get stuck together whenever this alien invasion happens, and they both are trying to survive. And I really liked the I really liked the chemistry between both of them. I thought they were both really interesting. They they did a good job of making these characters interesting. They're kind of base characters, but I thought that they did a good job of making them more, you have more of an interest in them. I think it was just their performances that I thought worked pretty well. Um, I don't think I like him as much as, say, Emily Blunt and John Krasinski in the Quiet Place movies, but I think that the this is a good companion character group, not couple, but group with the couple from the first one, first Quiet Place. So I liked them a lot. I thought that this movie was still really thrilling, and it really utilized the idea of being quiet in an interesting way, like the other ones did. And I like how it's in New York City where you cannot be loud, and New York City is like the loudest, one of the loudest cities in the world, or in the U.S. It's interesting seeing that be the backdrop of a Quiet Place movie. I thought that was fascinating, and not gonna lie, I love the cat. I always love movies where they put in a cat and it's interesting because I'm a cat lover, and I thought that the cat in this was really fun and funny, and it was cool seeing this cat try to survive through all this ordeal. Like, I thought that was interesting bringing a cat into the mix, and I thought that just made it kind of fun. And like I said, I'm biased because I already like cats a lot, so what else can I say about that? But I thought that it was a good. I thought the Quiet Place Day One was a good, solid prequel slash spinoff, and if they keep doing movies like this in the Quiet Place franchise, I'm fine with doing more. And I thought that this was, like I said, pretty good. I'd say, I don't know if I like it as much. The first one I think I like the most, but I don't know if I like this one more or the second one more, because I really like the second one as well. And I only saw the second one once, and I've only seen this one once. I've seen the first Quiet Place a couple times, so maybe one day I'll rewatch the other two and decide how I feel. But I think that this might be my least favorite, and by that I don't mean like it in a bad way. I think it's still a good movie and entertaining, but it's probably my least favorite out of the three, quote air quotes. Um, but yeah, like I said, it was a good experiment that I thought paid off in terms of entertainment. I thought it was fun, entertaining, and really heartfelt, like the other Quiet Places. It worked well in that behalf. Um, and then let's talk about MaXXXine, which is the newest Ty West Mia Goth movie, which is the third film in the trilogy with X and Pearl. And this, of course, is the continuation of X, where MaXXXine, played by Mia Goth, survived X and is now a porn star in Hollywood trying to become an actress, and like an actual actress for movies. Like she's going to auditions to try to become an actual actress. And I gotta say, with the X trilogy, the first one I really liked a lot, and Pearl I think I liked the most. Spoiler alert, I like Pearl the most out of all three of these movies. But I thought that they were awesome. And Ty West, I have seen not all of his movies, but I've seen a good amount to say that I do like his work a lot. And I think that this one got some interesting flack to it, because I, like on Facebook or like in the internet, like just in general, there are people who love this movie, people who thought this movie was pretty bad and pretty underwhelming and pretty boring. So I kind of felt like, on a personal level, looking at these people, like friends or people in my horror groups or whatever, talking about this one, it was kind of all over the place. And I thought that was interesting, because I like when a movie is not just like cut and dry, like, oh, this was the best ever, or no, this was terrible. Like, this movie had a lot of different reactions to it. Not to say like they were like strong reactions. It's just like, not like something like, say, Last Jedi or like the Ghostbusters 2016, like that kind of, not that kind of reaction, but just the reaction like, oh, it's okay, or it's not that great, or it's good, or it's great, was what a lot of people said about MaXXXine. And where I fall with MaXXXine, I'd say out of the three movies, this one is my least favorite. Again, air quotes, least favorite, because I think this one is still really good. This one focuses less on the gore aspect of it, which was surprising. It was not as abrasive, and abrasive I'm using in a good way. I'm not saying that in a negative light, but I really liked in X and Pearl the violence aspect of it, because I'm a gore hound. I love seeing that in movies. And this one does have some gore in it for sure, but it felt like it was few and far between. And not to say that that's a negative towards the movie. I think that the movie is still pretty good, and I do like this one a lot. But it was just a thing that I had to point out, that it felt like there was a little less gore in the movie comparatively to the other two. But Mia Goth, I think, is so great in this role, and in the role of Pearl, that it didn't matter to me. I thought that this was just really entertaining. And of course I wasn't born in the 80s, but I think that how it looks like what I see in films from the 80s, what I've seen in footage from the 80s. Like, yeah, I don't know how accurate it is, but it looks somewhat accurate, I guess, if I had to guess from not being born in that generation, but or in that decade. But I really liked the style and aesthetic to this one. I thought that, also, without spoiling it, I thought that the killer reveal was kind of obvious, and I was like, how did I not get this? Because it felt like it was established earlier. Again, no spoilers, but I thought it was cool what they did with the killer reveal, and I thought it was cool that it did a good job of that. And I'm trying to not say anything about it if you have not seen MaXXXine yet, because I thought that was good. Again, I think the biggest aspect to this that was great was Mia Goth. I think that she is just awesome in all these movies. She is a horror queen. She just does so many horror movies, and is really memorable in all of them. And I just really dig it. I think that just really good performance-wise in all these movies. why I'd say this one is my least favorite of the three is that I don't know how to describe it. Like X was like a '70s porn massacre or '70s porn slasher, which I dig, and then Pearl I thought did a fantastic job with the performance of Pearl and Mia Goth in that, and you felt such sympathy for Pearl, even though she was a kind of a heartless or not heartless killer. She was a killer by the end of the movie, by the end of Pearl. And in MaXXXine, it's the character from X who I think does a good job still, but like I feel like the emotional investment is a little higher in Pearl because you just felt so sympathetic for her, and there was more gore in Pearl and X. But like I said, that's not a negative towards MaXXXine, which I still really dug. I thought it was still really great, and I think that it had a good story, a good climax. It had some good moments, but I feel like if I had to choose between the three, it'd be my least favorite. But I think it's still an awesome movie, and I really will watch it again. I'm definitely going to buy it whenever it comes out on Blu-ray or 4K, of course. And I already love the other two. This is definitely a great continuation to it. But I just had to point out if I had to choose, it'd be my least favorite, air quotes, out of the three. And next up, let's talk about Longlegs, which is the Micah Monroe Nicolas Cage movie that is getting a lot of buzz, because this movie has been, with the marketing, has been going crazy with people. Like, everybody became obsessed with this movie. Whenever I saw this movie, it was almost a packed house. That was awesome. It shows what great marketing can do for a movie. And Longlegs, before I talk about how I feel, I'll talk about the plot. The plot is Micah Monroe is this FBI agent, and she is trying to find this killer, who's Nicolas Cage's character. And that's not a spoiler because you know in the trailer it really implies that he is. And she's trying to find him and find out the mystery of what's going on, because it might be something more than just normal killings. And that's the basic plot I'm going to give. I'm not going to say anything else because you really can't. Like, I really feel like people should definitely see this movie for sure. I'm going to say straight up that I really liked this movie a lot. I thought that it was really, really good in cinematography and tone, in feeling, and how the movie felt. It felt dark. It felt sinister. And I really love those aspects to it. It is a dark movie. It feels very eerie and very dark and very creepy. And I don't get scared at horror movies, but this really worked on that level. Like, it was very dark and very, like, dark as in just how it felt. It felt like a dreary movie. But it's funny because this movie also has some comedy in it, with these characters. Like, Micah Monroe's character is very awkward, doesn't know how to react to people, and I think that she has some really funny moments that are just based purely on her acting, because she will give a moment where somebody will say something and then she gives a look like she doesn't know what to say, like she's awkward, or her character might be on the spectrum slightly, where she just gives a look that makes me laugh. I'm like, that's just really well done performance. Like, I really liked her in this movie. Micah Monroe is similar to Mia Goth, where she's been in a lot of horror movies, and I really like her in all the stuff I've seen her in. Like, It Follows and Watcher, I liked a lot too. But in this one, she definitely plays it different. Like, she plays, like I said, I feel like a character slightly on the spectrum, where she feels like kind of like a little kid in this role, doing this adult thing, going out and trying to save people and stop a killer. And there are moments where it's just really funny because she just does a good job of that. I don't know how to describe it even more. I just think that she was great in the movie. And like I said, the movie is eerie. It's got a lot of atmosphere to it that really works, and I will definitely watch this again. The only negative I have, and it's not a negative where I didn't like the movie at all. I still thought the movie was great, but there were a couple moments. Now, let me get to this without spoiling it. So, before this movie came out, Nicolas Cage, people were saying Nicolas Cage is in this movie, and Nicolas Cage has done a role he's never done before. And this is honestly why it's bothering me more than anything, because they said Nicolas Cage has done a performance he's never done before. It's like a new Nicolas Cage. And I was thinking, okay, well, this will be interesting to see. Um, and then Nicolas Cage shows up, and tonally, it's weird because this movie is so dreary and so dark, and Nicolas Cage's character is supposed to be like a wild card person, um, and it'll be really serious, and then there'll be a scene where he'll start singing like Elvis and go her da da like just like loud noises, loud obnoxious noises. And there were a couple moments where it took me out of the movie because the movie was playing it so serious and so straight for the most part. Besides little character quirk humorous moments like with Michael Monroe, they were keeping it mostly serious, mostly dreary. And then he shows up and just acts really weird in a way where the weirdness slightly made it feel off to me, like tonally, because the movie, even though it had a few character quirky moments, it was not that, and it was so serious. And I guess it's because Nicolas Cage's character is just so unhinged, I guess, but it is just so, it was just kind of jarring, like in a way. And I'm used to Nicolas Cage's performances. I'm not saying he had a bad performance. I'm just, and I liked him in the movie, but I felt like as the movie changed tones briefly with him, it felt like way too extreme in a couple of instances. Like whenever he first see him fully and he sings like Elvis, that's the only thing where I was like, okay, tone it down slightly, because I think even though the character was a wild card, it slightly took away from it. And I will not say what this other scene is, but there is another scene where he appears and he just says a line that makes you go, okay, so is this movie trying to be super serious, or is it trying to be like a goofy, like cult fun time movie? Because it really doesn't, for me, it slightly takes me out of it with Nicolas Cage. And like I said, I think he's got a good performance in the movie. I'm not saying that. I really did like it. But it just felt so out of left field in a way where I completely see why people don't like this movie either, because this movie is getting so much mixed reception. Like, people love it, people hate it. Like, I have heard people saying this is one of the best in 10 years, like best horror movies in 10 years, like everyone said on the internet. Like the reviews were saying the best horror movie since whatever. And I can definitely see that, but I can also see why people don't like it. I can see why people think it's somewhat too over the top in instances where it kind of takes away the tone with, like I say, Nicolas Cage. And it's also a movie that is going to have a reputation because of the marketing being so good, and a reputation of expectation. Because whenever you see a trailer that's very well done and then you see the movie and it's slightly different than what the trailer is, people are going to be like, no, I don't like this. Like, I didn't, but some people I know are going to say they don't like it because it's different than the trailer. But like I said, I think that this one, despite a few instances of Nicolas Cage being too over the top in this, I feel like mostly serious, creepy horror movie, like, I think that it works really well. And like I said, that's nothing against Nicolas Cage, because I love his performances in a lot of stuff. I just felt like it slightly took away from the creepiness whenever he became too silly. And I guess that also is a good kind of palate cleanser if you are scared, because I don't get scared at horror movies, so I don't have the same feeling as other people would have if I was scared of horror movies. I never get scared of horror movies. I've seen so many that I'm desensitized. I think they're fun. But I think this one tonally did a really good job, despite a few instances of Nicolas Cage being too over the top in seriousness, or in a movie that feels more serious. So I can see why people love it and hate it, love it or hate it. But I really did like this movie. I still think it's awesome, and I will definitely be buying it. But I had to point out my slight qualm with just the silliness with Nicolas Cage. And I'm not saying that it's bad at all in his performance. I still think he's awesome in everything, or mostly everything. But it just slightly took me out of it. Slightly. But there were moments with him that were great as well, and creepy and bizarre. And this movie is bizarre. And I'm not even saying even half of what the story is, because I want to be very vague. I also want to mention another actor too that's in it. I don't know what the guy's name is who is like her boss, the FBI boss. He was really good in it as well, and he had some funny moments with Micah Monroe. I thought he was really good. And also there's Alicia Witt, who is in Urban Legend, is in this, and she's good as well. Very good. And I think all the performances are really good in this movie as well. It really is a great horror movie, but it's going to get that reputation because people are saying it's the best horror movie since whatever of the decade. So people are gonna instantly be kind of annoyed whenever they watch this because they're like, well, this is not what I wanted. Like it's gonna be a movie that's got mixed reception. It already has. But I really dug it, despite a few slight qualms to it. I thought it was still awesome. Really still recommend, even if you hate it, I really think that people should see this one. I think that people should still see what it is about, because it is a movie that has got so much praise and so much build up from the great marketing. So I definitely recommend it. And it's also directed by Osgood Perkins, Anthony Perkins' son, which is awesome. I love that. And I guess he also directed Gretel and Hansel, which I saw whenever that came out, 2020, I think. That was good too, and that was really creepy and worked very well atmospherically. So I did like that one too, and I need to see what other movies he's directed. But he does a really good job with his movies that I've seen, or what I remember seeing. This and Gretel and Hansel. He might have done others. I should have looked up the filmography before I did this video, but great job all around with Longlegs. Really great. Small issues, but nothing to change how great it was, I think, in my opinion. For being a horror fan, I thought it was great. And then let's talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, which is not a horror movie. I mostly talk about horror, but I love the Marvel movies. I have, of course, seen almost 40 of these MCU movies. I've seen all of the other Marvel movies, I think, for the most part. I think the only one I haven't seen the original, like the cheesy ones from the 80s. Like, I've not seen the original Fantastic Four or those old Hulk movies and Thor movies and Doctor Strange movies from like the 70s and 80s that don't technically count in this MCU anyways. But I've seen all of the MCU and MCU adjacent movies. And Deadpool and Wolverine, now this one is one that I really can't say anything about because it is... like, the whole movie is a spoiler. Like, you can't talk about the movie besides the trailer, which they did a good job of showing the trailer, showing nothing in the trailer, describing it. So, Deadpool, the TVA has appeared to apprehend Deadpool, and Deadpool goes on a journey with a Wolverine variant. Like, that's not the same one as Hugh Jackman that died in Logan. It's not the same one. That's a slight spoiler, but I feel like people understand that. It's not even the same one because that one died in Logan. But I gotta say, the MCU, while it has some slight hits and misses, I've never disliked any MCU movie. The shows, I didn't think Secret Invasion was that good, but I still can watch it. I can still tolerate any of the Marvel MCU stuff. I really dig all of them. And even though we've had some slight ones that are getting kind of in the generic point, like the Marvels, or I thought Shang-Chi, the third act was more generic, but the movie was good overall. The MCU recently has been in that point where it's like you've got like almost 40 movies. Like, there's gonna be some movies that are not gonna be as entertaining or as quote unquote good, but I still like all of them. But there are some that I'm like, I'm not getting into this as much as I used to. The hype has kind of died down after Endgame, but I still like them. And I really like Spider-Man No Way Home a lot. I thought that was great. And I'm trying to think, like, Ant-Man and the Wasp was whatever. The most recent MCU movies I thought were whatever, but there were a couple of good ones. And I think that with this one is more back on track, and I think that it's because they got Deadpool back, or Deadpool in the MCU, and now they are really having fun with it. And this movie is unapologetically violent, unapologetically silly, unapologetically fun, and I really liked the first two Deadpool movies. The first one I think is better than the second one, but overall, the first two Deadpool movies are great, and I'd watch them both again. This one I think is a really great follow-up to those movies, and this one, like I said, it's unapologetically gory, unapologetically explicit, like the other Deadpool movies. And it's great because you would have expected, people were thinking whenever Disney bought out Fox, they would not have R-rated Marvel movies, and Deadpool just doesn't really work not R-rated. You had that Once Upon a Deadpool thing, which was like Deadpool 2, but like edited, and it had like Fred Savage and Deadpool storytelling, like The Princess Bride, which was weird, but it's kind of funny. But it wasn't as fun as Deadpool 2, the actual movie, so it's just not what I'm used to with Deadpool. I've not read the comics of Deadpool, but I mean, as the movies go, like, I thought that this really went well with the first two movies. It was very violent, very fun, and no spoilers, but there are a lot of cameos. This movie just, in a good way, hits you over the head with cameos over and over, and you're like, holy crap. But the thing that they do with these cameos is really good and really interesting. And it feels kind of like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which I like too, but I like this one more. Like, it feels like it's kind of like that movie, but better utilized with the cameos, if that makes sense. Deadpool 2, I like how Deadpool's kind of evolved since the first two, because in the trailers you've seen he's not with Vanessa anymore. He is working at a car place selling cars, and he's kind of on the downtrodden side. And then this thing happens with the TVA where he joins forces with another Wolverine, which kind of revitalizes his kind of fun aspect of himself, because he became depressed. And there is a scene at the beginning, I won't spoil, but it is so funny because it adds to Deadpool's depression, and I think that it was a great thing that connects to the MCU, because like I said, this is in the MCU, so I'm not really spoiling anything, but there's a good scene at the beginning where you're like, oh, that's very interesting what happened. But performances are great. I think that the weaker point of this movie is the villain. Like, I mean, I liked her performance, Cassandra. You've already seen this in the trailer. She's the twin of Charles Xavier, and she's bald too. But she like is in the Loki world, or Loki place, where like what's his name, that cloud monster comes in. Like, she's in that thing, and she has reasons for being a villain, and I thought that she was interesting, and I thought she had some really funny lines. But I felt like by the end I was kind of like whatever on her character, but I thought her performance was good. Nothing bad with the character. It just kind of went on too long, I guess, if that makes sense. And again, no spoilers, but all of these cameos, everybody's gonna be like, holy shit, this is awesome, this is incredible, just seeing all this stuff happen in front of your eyes in this movie. It's so good. And like I said, can't say anything, but there's probably already spoilers everywhere. I stayed off every kind of physical media thing, or like app, like Facebook, Instagram. I stayed off all that for like a day because I didn't see it till Friday, and it was released on Thursday night like usual. And I stayed away from that, and I thankfully was not spoiled. And I feel like everybody now who has not seen this movie is probably spoiled out the ass online, because everybody likes to spoil shit. So I'm glad I got to see it before any of the spoilers happen. But it is really fun, really rewarding, really, really fun MCU movie. Definitely one of the best ones out of this phase. Or I guess these last few movies. I don't know if this is the start of Phase 5 or if this has been... I can't remember how the phases are working now, because I know we have all those TV shows, so it gets kind of confusing. But I really like Deadpool. Really fun. Definitely will buy this one. And then the last movie I'm going to talk about is a thriller, which is Twisters, which came out recently too. And Twisters is an in-name only sequel to Twister from 1996, the Bill Paxton movie and Helen Hunt movie. And I have seen that one, but it's been a long time since I've seen Twisters. I don't remember it that well at all. And I kind of want to watch it again now because I really liked Twisters. This one was actually really fun. This one is about a woman who is rivaling this other guy who they're like tornado wranglers, and they're rivaling each other while a tragedy happened and she's trying to get over that, and they both are trying to one up each other with these twisters. And it works really well in the aspect of these performances. I really liked these actors. I don't know what the main woman's name is, like in real life, but she was great. I thought that this movie is very simple, but these actors really brought a lot of charisma to it, and I really dug what they did. Glenn Powell is in this, who is in a lot of stuff. He's really popular right now. He was in Top Gun Maverick, Anyone But You. He was also in that movie The Hitman, which I have not seen yet. It's on Netflix. And I do want to see that because I'm really liking Glenn Powell and everything. And apparently he's been an actor since, like, I remember seeing Spy Kids 3D in theaters, and he was in that apparently, or one of the Spy Kids. So that's funny that he's been an actor for so long, but now he's becoming really popular. And I could see why. In this movie, he's very charismatic and very interesting. He and the main girl really bounce off each other well with their charisma. And it probably is similar to Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt in the original, but like I said, I haven't seen that in a long time. And I did remember thinking that one was fine. But a lot of people are saying this is better than the original, so that's pretty cool. And maybe not. Maybe some people don't like it as much, but I think that this one was really fun and really solid. And it also has Anthony Ramos. Is it Anthony Ramos? I think I'm blanking on the name. The dude who was in the Heights, and he was in Transformers 6. He's really good in it as well. All the performances are good, and I like that this is just a very simple, silly thriller, but like these characters are really interesting, and I was devoted to them, and I was devoted to where they were going. And being very simple, it was very entertaining and very fun. I really like Twisters. It was such a genuine surprise. Because watching the trailers, I was like, this looks fine. Like, I'll totally go see it. But, man, I really liked it. I really dug these characters. I dug the thrilling moments in it. It was fun. The CG was really good for these twisters. And I bet there was footage of real twisters throughout, but, like, they integrated it very well. Where it didn't feel that out of reality with the CGI for the most part. It really didn't feel that out of reality. I thought that was cool. The budget really, I guess, went to that a lot, and that's great because it definitely feels realistic while also not being realistic, because it's not like a movie where you're gonna look at it and go, oh wow, these people would survive this, you know, but it still is fun and silly, and I thought I had a really good time. Just a genuine surprise. I really liked Twisters. So yeah, like I said, with all these movies, I actually really liked all of these. This was a good review for all of these. Like, there's not one I didn't dislike. I'd say if I had to pick one, my favorite would be Longlegs out of all these. Then probably MaXXXine. Then probably Deadpool and Wolverine. Then A Quiet Place, and then probably Twisters. If I had to rank them, I guess. But they're still all great. I think I rated them at least 4 stars out of 5 out of all of these. On Letterboxd. Twisters I did a 4-star. I think Deadpool I did 4-star. I think Quiet Place I did 4-star, and then Longlegs and MaXXXine I think I did 4.5. I thought that they were really good. Really great movies in the theater right now. Definitely to go see. At least I think. I definitely recommend a lot of these, or all of these. I think they're all awesome. But yeah, great movies. And I never know how to end these reviews, so I'm just going to end it now. Like I said, I definitely recommend all these. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you stayed until the 34-minute mark, it just became 34 minutes. That is it. I will have another review sometime in the near future. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching.